Dr. Jasper Reed barely looked up from his microscope when the commotion started outside his laboratory. The rhythmic thud of military boots echoed down the corridor of Outpost Helios, growing louder until his door slid open without permission or warning. "Dr. Reed," Commander Blackwell's voice boomed through the sterile lab. "I've brought you a present." Jasper glanced up, his concentration broken. At 34, he'd spent the last 5 years on this remote research station by choice, preferring the company of his specimens to the crude humor and forced camaraderie of the security forces. "I'm in the middle of analyzing the cellular degradation of Always Work With You," Blackwell interrupted, his square jaw set in what passed for a smile. "The boys and I were just saying how you need something too. Warm your quarters at night." 2 security officers entered behind Blackwell, half dragging a figure between them. Jasper stood abruptly, knocking his stool over with a clatter. Between the guards stood a woman, though calling her simply a woman failed to capture her alien beauty. Her skin was pale with a silvery sheen that caught the laboratory lights. Long ash-white hair fell in tangles around a face with features too delicate, too perfect to be human. Her eyes, when she briefly raised them, were violet with no visible pupils. A Lunarii, Jasper had read about them, peaceful, telepathic species from the Cygnus system. Their planet had been raided repeatedly by slavers over the past decade. "What is this?" Jasper asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "This," Blackwell said, prodding the woman forward, "is Thalia, intercepted on a refugee transport. Command doesn't know what to do with her, so I volunteered you. Thought you might appreciate some company in your research." The woman's Sally swayed slightly. Her wrists were bound with restraint cuffs, and Jasper could see bruising around her slender neck. Her simple gray garment was torn at the shoulder, revealing more silvery skin beneath. "She's injured," Jasper said, moving forward, "and she's a sentient being, not property to be gifted." Blackwell's smile faltered. "She's contraband, Reed. We're doing you a favor by not spacing her. Besides, you're always complaining about needing test subjects for your xenobiology studies." Jasper's hands curled into fists. "Medical research, Commander, with consenting participants. She's yours now. The paperwork's already filed." Blackwell tossed a datapad onto Jasper's workbench. "Housing assignment, ration allocation, the works. Consider her your ward or whatever else you want." The officers laughed, and Thalia flinched at the sound. "Remove her restraints," Jasper demanded. "Your funeral," Blackwell shrugged, nodding to one of the guards. "She bit Corporal Harris when we brought her aboard." The moment the cuffs clicked open, Thalia pulled her arms close to her body, rubbing at the raw skin of her wrists. "If there's nothing else, Commander," Jasper said coldly, "I have work to do." After they left, Jasper approached Thalia slowly, keeping his movements deliberate and calm. "I'm Dr. Jasper Reed. I'm going to help you." Thalia kept her eyes downcast, but he could see her trembling. "You're safe here," he continued, though he wasn't sure that was true. "I need to treat your injuries. Will you let me scan you? I won't touch you without permission." After a long pause, she gave a nearly imperceptible nod. Jasper activated the medical scanner, and the holographic readout confirmed what he suspected: dehydration, malnutrition, multiple contusions, and signs of recent physical trauma. "When did you last eat?" he asked gently. No response. "Drink." Silence. Jasper retrieved a water packet and a nutrient bar from his personal stores. He placed them on the counter halfway between them and stepped back. "Please," he said. "You need sustenance." Tentatively, Thalia reached for the water. As she drank, Jasper noticed iridescent patterns beneath her skin, subtle geometric designs that shifted with her movements. "I have private quarters," he said when she'd finished the nutrient bar. "You can rest there while I arrange proper accommodations." For the first time, Thalia spoke, her voice like distant wind chimes. "Why help me?" Jasper met her violet eyes. "Because what they're doing is wrong, and I won't be part of it." Led her through the quieter corridors toward his quarters. Jasper realized his carefully ordered life had just become immeasurably more complicated. But watching Thalia walk beside him, her steps growing steadier with each meter, he knew some complications were worth facing head-on. 2 weeks passed in a delicate dance of trust-building. Jasper converted his small living area into a makeshift recovery room for Thalia, while he took to sleeping on a cot in his laboratory. Each morning he would find her sitting cross-legged on the bed, staring at the stars through the small viewport. "The nutrient levels in your blood are improving," Jasper said, reviewing her latest scan results. "But you're still not eating enough?" Thalia's violet eyes met his briefly before drifting away. "Lunari require less sustenance than humans." "Not what the xenobiology database indicates," Jasper countered gently. "Your species typically consumes more calories than humans, not less." A ghost of a smile touched her lips. "You've studied my kind?" "I've studied many species," he said, setting down the scanner. "But the database on Lunari is ... incomplete." Thalia absently traced one of the silvery patterns on her forearm, a habit Jasper had noticed when she was thinking. "What do you wish?" "To know everything," he answered honestly. "But only what you're comfortable sharing." For the first time, Thalia laughed, a sound like crystal wind chimes. "A scientist to your core." Their conversation was interrupted by the chime of Jasper's door. His body tensed instinctively. "It's Lieutenant Parker," Thalia said before he could check the monitor. Jasper gave her a questioning look. "I can ... sense him," she explained. "His emotions leave an impression." When Jasper opened the door, Parker indeed stood there, his usual sneer in place. "Doc, Commander wants a progress report on your research assistant." Jasper positioned himself to block Parker's view into the room. "Tell the Commander that patient confidentiality applies to all sentient beings under my care." Parker's sneer deepened. "She's not a patient, Reed. She's contraband. And Blackwell's getting impatient about his investment." "Investment?" Voice hardened. "Some collector from Centauri Prime is offering top credit for lunary specimens, especially ones with intact telepathic abilities." Parker tried to look past Jasper. "So how intact is she?"
Yes.
"Leave now." After Parker departed, Jasper turned to find Thalia trembling, her silvery skin paler than usual. "They plan to sell me," she whispered. "I won't let that happen," Jasper promised, surprising himself with his vehemence. That evening, as Jasper brought dinner to his quarters, he found Thalia examining his collection of botanical specimens from various worlds. "This one," she said, touching a container with a luminescent blue flower, "grows on my homeworld. We call it Night Whisper because it only blooms when the moons align." Jasper set down the food trays. "You were a scholar before your capture?" Thalia nodded, her fingers lingering on the specimen case. "I studied interspecies botanical adaptations. Our research vessel was attacked during an expedition." Our voice grew distant. "I was the only one they kept alive." Jasper felt a surge of rage at what she'd endured. "I'm sorry. You've nothing to apologize for," she said, turning to face him fully. "You've shown me kindness when others showed cruelty." "Basic decency isn't kindness," Jasper muttered. "In a universe where decency is rare, it becomes extraordinary," Thalia replied. She hesitated, then added, "You feel different from the others here." "Different?" "Your emotions," she explained. "They single, quote, deeper, like still water, rather than crashing waves." Jasper felt heat rise to his face. "You can sense my emotions. Lunari are empathic," she said. "It's how we connect with others, how we understand them." A faint silvery blush colored her cheeks. "I cannot read your thoughts, if that concerns you." "It doesn't," Jasper said, surprised to find it was true. "I just hope my emotions haven't been ... intrusive." Thalia's expression softened. "Your concern for me has been a beacon in darkness, Dr. Reed." "Jasper," he corrected. "Please call me Jasper." Later that night, as Jasper prepared to return to his laboratory, Thalia stopped him with a gentle touch on his arm, the first time she had initiated contact. "Stay," she said softly. "The nightmares come when I'm alone." Jasper nodded, settling into the chair beside her bed. As Thalia drifted to sleep, He watched the starlight play across her silver-streaked skin and realized that in trying to save her, something in himself was being saved too. "They're accelerating their plans," Dr. Olivia Winters whispered, glancing over her shoulder at the nearly empty mess hall. The station's chief medical officer had become Jasper's only ally in the month since Thalia's arrival. Blackwell's been in contact with a private collector from the Centauri system. The payment's already been arranged. Jasper's spoon clattered against his bowl. "When?" 3 days. "The collector's ship is already en route." Olivia pushed a data chip across the table. Security protocols, patrol schedules, and access codes for the shuttle bay. "Olivia, if they catch you, they won't," she interrupted. "Besides, what they're doing violates at least 15 interstellar treaties. I became a doctor to heal, not to enable trafficking." Jasper pocketed the chip. "Thank you." Back in his quarters, he found Thalia, sitting at his console, her fingers moving gracefully over the controls. The silver patterns beneath her skin pulsed with concentration. "What are you doing?" he asked, not accusingly. "Learning," she replied without looking up. "Your station's database contains information about my people, records of encounters, biological studies," her voice faltered, "and reports of Lunari being sold to collectors." Jasper moved to her side. "We need to leave sooner than planned. Blackwell has arranged a sale." Thalia nodded, unsurprised. "I've sensed his anticipation growing." She turned to face him. "You would risk everything for me?" "Yes," Jasper answered, without hesitation. That night, they sat together planning their escape, voices low, heads bent close over star charts and transport schedules. The Persephone Nebula, Thalia pointed to a swirling mass of purple-hued gases. "Some of my people established a sanctuary there after the first raids. If they still exist, ... Then that's where we'll go," Jasper finished. As the hour grew late, Thalia's silver-streaked hand came to rest beside his on the table, their fingers nearly touching. "Among my people," she said softly, "there is a concept called Kalitha souls that recognize each other across the void." Her violet eyes met his. "When I first arrived, I was broken, expecting only more pain. But when you spoke to me, when you showed me respect..." She hesitated. "I felt something I haven't felt since before my capture. A resonance." Jasper found himself unable to look away from her luminescent gaze. "I'm not sure I understand." "Neither am I," she admitted with a small smile. "My people believe that connections form for reasons beyond our understanding. Perhaps the universe brought me here, to you, for a purpose." Jasper thought of the random cruelties that had brought her to Outpost Helios, the attack on her research vessel.
Ow.
Her capture, Blackwell's gift. None of it seemed like cosmic design. "I think people create meaning from chaos," he said carefully. "We find connections because we need them to survive." "And what connection have you found with me, Jasper Reed?" Thalia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Before he could answer, the station's alert system blared. Red emergency lights flashed across Thalia's silver-tinged features. "Attention all personnel," Commander Blackwell's voice echoed through the station. "Security breach detected in Science Sector. All personnel report to designated lockdown positions." Jasper's blood ran cold. "They know." He rushed to his console, fingers flying over the controls. "They've accessed my research logs. They know I've been planning to help you escape." Thalia stood, suddenly looking more formidable than he'd ever seen her. "Then we leave now." "The collector's ship hasn't arrived yet," she finished. "We still have a chance." Jasper grabbed the emergency pack he'd prepared and slung it over his shoulder. "We'll need to reach Shuttle Bay 3. It's the farthest from the command center, least likely to be heavily guarded." As they moved toward the door, Thalia suddenly reached for his hand. The moment their skin connected, Jasper gasped as a wave of emotions washed over him: determination, fear, and something warmer, deeper. "So you can share emotions, not just sense them," he said, understanding dawning. "Only with those I trust." "Completely," she replied. "Now you'll know if guards are nearby. I can sense them before we see them." As they slipped into the corridor, Jasper felt the unfamiliar presence of Thalia's consciousness brushing against his own alien, yet somehow familiar, like a song he'd always known but never heard. The emergency lights bathed the corridors in pulsing crimson as Jasper and Talia moved through the station's maintenance tunnels. Through their connected hands, Jasper felt Thalia's awareness stretching outward, sensing the emotions of security. Personnel searching for them. 2 guards ahead, she whispered, pulling him into a recessed doorway. Their thoughts are violent. Moments later, armed security officers rushed past their hiding place. Jasper's heart hammered against his ribs. But Thalia's presence in his mind was a steadying influence, her calm washing over his panic. "This way," he said, once the corridor cleared, leading her toward an access hatch. "These tunnels run parallel to the main corridors. They'll take us to the shuttle bay." As they crawled through the narrow maintenance shafts, Jasper activated his comm unit to contact Olivia. "They've locked down the entire science sector." Her voice came through, tense with urgency. "Blackwell's furious." The collector arrived early. He's already docked at the executive bay. Jasper's stomach dropped. "How much time do we have?" "Minutes, not hours. I've uploaded a flight path to Shuttle 6. It'll look like a routine maintenance run until you clear the station's sensor range." "Olivia, thank you for everything." "Just get her out of here, Jasper," Olivia replied. "A and D don't come back." When they finally reached the shuttle bay, they found it eerily empty. "It's too quiet," Jasper murmured. Thalia's grip on his hand tightened. "They're here, waiting." The moment they stepped into the open bay, floodlights blazed to life. "Commander!" Blackwell stood flanked by 6 armed guards, his face twisted with contempt. "Dr. Reed," he drawled, "stealing valuable station property is a serious offense." "She's not property," Jasper said, positioning himself in front of Thalia. Blackwell signaled, and the guards raised their weapons. "The collector is paying 3 million credits for a telepathic Lunari. Do you really think I'd let you walk away with that kind of merchandise?" Jasper felt a surge of protective rage. "She's a person, not merchandise." "How touching," a new voice interjected. A tall figure emerged from the shadows, elegant, poised with the artificial perfection that came from extensive genetic modification. The scientist has fallen in love with his specimen, a collector. Jasper's skin crawled at the man's clinical assessment. "My collection lacks a Lunari," the collector continued, circling them like a predator, especially one with such unique coloration. His eyes fixed on the silvery patterns beneath Thalia's skin. The neural patterns of telepathic species make such fascinating displays when properly preserved. Jasper felt Thalia's horror echo through their connection. The collector intended to kill her and preserve her body as a trophy. "You'll have to go through me," Jasper said, his voice steadier than he felt. The collector laughed. "Gladly." What happened next occurred so quickly that Jasper could barely process it. Thalia stepped forward, the silver patterns on her skin suddenly blazing with light. She raised her hands, and a wave of pure emotion, fear, rage, desperation radiated outward. The guards and Blackwell crumpled to their knees, weapons clattering to the floor as they clutched their heads in agony. Only the collector remained, standing, though visibly shaken. "Telepathic defense mechanism," he said, his voice strained with effort. "Fascinating." Thalia swayed, the light beneath her skin dimming. "Jasper, I can't hold them long." Jasper grabbed her hand and pulled her toward Shuttle 6. As they reached the ramp, a shot rang out. Pain exploded in Jasper's shoulder, spinning him around. The collector stood with a small weapon trained on them. "The specimen leaves with me." Thalia's expression transformed from exhaustion to fury. She released Jasper's hand and stepped toward the collector, her entire body now illuminated from within. "I am not your specimen," she said, her voice resonating with power. "I am Thalia of the 7th House of Lunari, and you will not touch what is mine." The collector staggered backward as if struck by a physical blow. He collapsed, unconscious but alive. Thalia turned back to Jasper, her light fading. "Yes, we must hurry." "I cannot do that again." Inside the shuttle, Jasper's hands flew over the controls despite the burning pain in his shoulder. The engines roared to life as Thalia sealed the hatch. Hold on, he warned as the shuttle lifted off through the viewport. They watched Outpost Helios grow smaller until it was just another light among the stars. Only when they engaged the hyperdrive did Jasper allow himself to breathe. Thalia's cool fingers gently examined his wounded shoulder. "You're hurt." "Worth it," he managed through gritted teeth as she applied emergency medical treatment. Her touch lingered on his skin. "You protected me, now I protect you." In the soft blue glow of hyperspace, their eyes met and held. Without words, Jasper felt her gratitude, her concern, and beneath it all, a deepening affection that mirrored his own. As the stars streaked past, they shared their first kiss, tentative, gentle, a promise of possibility in the vastness of space. 3 months after their escape from Outpost Helios, Jasper watched Talia tend to a young Arcturian child in their small medical clinic on Haven Station. Her silver-streaked hands moved with practiced precision as she applied a healing salve. To the child's injured tentacle, "There," she said, her voice melodic and assured. "Keep it wrapped for 3 days, and the regeneration should be complete." The child's parent burbled grateful thanks, pressing a small container of rare spices into Talia's hands as payment before departing. Haven Station lived up to its name, a sanctuary for refugees, outcasts, and those seeking to disappear from official records. Its patchwork corridors and jury-rigged systems were a far cry from the sterile efficiency of Outpost Helios. But Jasper had never felt more at home. "You're getting quite the reputation," he observed as Thalia organized their limited medical supplies. "That's the 3rd Arcturian family this week." Thalia smiled, the silver patterns beneath her skin pulsing gently with contentment. "They appreciate that I can sense their pain without them having to explain it." Jasper moved to help her, his shoulder now fully healed thanks to her care. Their fingers brushed as they worked, and as always he felt the warm current of their emotional connection, a bond that had deepened with each passing day. "News from the border regions," he said, checking their communications terminal. "The Alliance is investigating reports of illegal trafficking in sentient beings. Several collector ships have been seized, including our friend from Centauri." Thalia asked. "The report doesn't say," Jasper replied, "but it mentions Blackwell by name. Apparently, he's facing charges." Thalia's expression remained serene, but Jasper felt her satisfaction through their link. Not revenge, but just as a distinction important to her people. Later, as they shared a simple meal in their small quarters above the clinic, Thalia grew unusually quiet. "What is it?" Jasper asked, reaching across the table to touch her hand. She met his eyes, violet irises shifting like nebula clouds. "A ship docked this morning, Lunari." Jasper set down his utensil, heart suddenly racing. "Your people, scouts?" she confirmed. "Searching for survivors from captured research vessels. I sensed them as soon as they arrived, but I needed time to decide what to do." "Have you spoken with them?" She shook her head. "Not yet." Understanding dawned on him. "You're afraid they'll ask you to return with them." "The 7th house was decimated in the raids," she said softly. "As a scholar of my bloodline, I have a duty to help rebuild, to preserve our knowledge." Her fingers intertwined with his. "But I have made commitments here as well." Jasper felt a tightness in his chest. "I would never ask you to choose between your people and us," she finished when he hesitated. A smile touched her lips. "There was a time when I thought I would never use that word again. Us. Together." Through their connection, he felt her conflict, but also her love, a warm, steady presence that had become as essential to him as breathing. "We could go with them," he suggested. "I could continue my research on your homeworld, learn about your culture firsthand. You would leave everything you know." "I already did," he reminded her, squeezing her hand, "the moment we fled Helios." Talia rose and moved to the small viewport that overlooked Haven's bustling market district. "My people have a saying, the stars chart our course, but our hearts choose our home." She turned back to him, silver light dancing beneath her skin. "I believe we were meant to find each other, Jasper. Whether on your world or mine, we are each other's sanctuary." He joined her at the viewport, arms encircling her waist as they looked out at the teeming life of the station, humans and aliens alike, coexisting despite their differences. Tomorrow, she decided, leaning back against his chest, tomorrow we will meet with the scouts. Together. That night, as they lay entwined in each other's arms, Jasper marveled at the journey that had brought them here. From prisoner and reluctant guardian to partners, equals, lovers. Talia's head rested on his chest. Her silver-streaked hair spread across his skin like starlight. "What are you thinking?" she murmured, sensing his contemplation. "That some gifts, even when given with the worst intentions, can become the greatest treasures," he replied, fingers tracing the luminescent patterns on her shoulder. Thalia lifted her head to meet his gaze, violet eyes reflecting the dim light. "We are not defined by how others see us, but by how we see each other," as their lips met in a tender kiss. Jasper knew that whatever path they chose, whether among her people or continuing their work on Haven, they would face it together. Two souls who had found sanctuary in each other among the endless stars.